Hi, everybody. Ian Bremmer here, and a quick take to kick off your Merry Christmas week. Maybe it'll be a little bit quieter, but it doesn't feel that way these days. I wanted to talk a little bit about the statements from President-elect Trump about the territories that he seems to have some interest in. Over the last day, we've had statements that the U.S. should take the Panama Canal, and some memes being posted by Trump and the vice president-elect. He said that used to belong to the United States, the Panama Canal, and President Jimmy Carter foolishly gave it away, and now he wants it back. Is it because he's angry that the Panamanian government is claiming that he owes lots of taxes for Trump properties? Maybe. Certainly the governments don't like each other. The Panamanian president came out and said sovereignty and independence of his country are not negotiable, not surprisingly. And then Trump with another statement, and it's not the first time, saying that ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. In his first administration, he wanted to try to buy it. Denmark said no. Now he's saying, look, national security reasons for the United States. I mean, absolute necessity. That's like pretty much 100%, right? So got to take Greenland over. And the Greenland prime minister has said it's very much not for sale. So, look, I mean, what are we talking about here? Well, first, national security reasons are, of course, defined by the United States as the most powerful country. That is a different type of U.S. exceptionalism. Historically, U.S. exceptionalism was more about the idea that the Americans actually had right on their side, and so their values were somehow different and better than those of other countries. Now it's more about we want it. It's for our national security. It has nothing to do with values, but we can get away with it because we are stronger. Now, lots of countries do this. Russia, in particular, they have made that argument about Crimea, which used to belong to the Soviet Union under the leadership of, in Moscow and the Russian Federation first among equals, and then was given to the Ukrainians by Khrushchev, which I remember Elon Musk referred to as Khrushchev's mistake, which seemed the kind of thing he wouldn't come up with and would have heard from the Kremlin. That was, now they want it, and they want it because it was historically theirs, and they shouldn't have given it back. And so it doesn't matter if the Ukrainians have sovereignty, and the locals wanted to be a part of Russia anyway, which is true in the case of Crimea, not in the case of the southeast Ukrainian territories that the Russians presently occupy. But of course, it's against international law. Having said that, against international law, when you're the more powerful country, doesn't seem to matter very much in today's international environment, certainly not as much as it used to. That's why Ukraine is going to get partitioned, and Ukraine is going to have to accept a loss of territory de facto in order to maintain security guarantees going forward. We see this in terms of China and the 9-dash line in the South China Sea, which clearly is ridiculous. If anyone that looks at a map recognizes that China should have no claim on all of this territory and the resources inside that territory, but China's more powerful than all these other countries like Indonesia and the Philippines, and so they can get away with a lot more. Israel in the West Bank, and more territory that they're taking, and more territory just in the last couple weeks that they say is temporary, but for how long, who knows, near the Golan Heights, strategically important for them, national security reasons, so it's ours, right? That is where we are heading. Does Trump mean it? Probably not. He didn't mean it last time with Greenland. It's just a negotiating stance, and he exaggerates a fair amount, and he's, looking to both say things that amuse him and put other countries on the back foot, just like he did with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Canada, who is facing a much harder domestic political time because Trump is making him look like an idiot on the international stage. And Trump and the U.S. are a lot more powerful than Trudeau in Canada. But it does matter if the United States doesn't support international law. It does matter if the U.S. is not interested in upholding its existing trade deals, its existing collective security agreements. And unlike in 2016, when Trump won for the first time, this time around there's more legitimacy to it in the United States. And what I mean by that is, Trump won, and he won the popular vote, and he almost got 50% of all of the voters in the United States. And it's not like Americans don't know what Trump did, don't know what he's accused of, don't know his role around January 6th, don't know what he's intending to do going forward. They're fully aware of this, and they voted for him anyway, or maybe I should say they voted for him in part because of that. So, you don't get to blame the Russians, which was farcical back in 2016, but no one's even trying to make that argument now. I mean, Trump won, and Trump won on an agenda that he is now very much moving forward with. And that is going to be a big issue for other countries because they are a lot less powerful than the United States. Elon Musk, similar challenge here, right? Acting, in many ways as the most powerful person in the U.S. government after Trump, certainly the most unfettered. And when he comes out publicly and says that Germany's in trouble if it's not for the Alternatives for Deutschland, the AfD, that may not be, it's not close to a majority of support in Germany, but the German government's in trouble. And he will push for more support for a Eurosceptic group, very far on the right in the German political spectrum. And the German government is going to be scared. I mean, how much do you want to go after Elon and push him back when you know that he has the full support of the American president? Do you really want to fight with him? And the answer is a lot less than you would have been willing to fight with him before Trump won. So I think all of this is really creating a much more transactional law of the jungle global space, where both the United States and China and a number of other countries are increasingly playing by a very similar lack of rule book, if you will. And we're becoming more a world of winners and losers as opposed to a world of leaders that bring people together. And that is a problem. We've experienced that in the past, but we haven't experienced it when the challenges are so obviously larger than national challenges, so clearly global challenges when it comes to climate or when it comes to AI, when it comes to the proliferation of dangerous weapons. So clearly a much more dangerous environment as a consequence of all of that. And that's how I think I respond to what I see from Trump. Not that it's so different from what we're seeing from other countries, but precisely because it's so similar. And because those are countries that the Americans historically are like, no, we don't play by that. And that's increasingly where we are. So anyway, a lot that we'll be looking towards in 2025 and a very, very volatile geopolitical environment. Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope you have a happy new year. And I'll talk to you all real soon.